Good morning, everybody. See the numbers going up, which is really great. So as you come in, you will see that you've got a question here, and it's something normally when we're all sort of standing face to face, which is a lot easier to do, and I'd get you to stand up. But unfortunately, I can't see any of you, so I would just be guessing who had said yes and who had said no. So I always start with the question, which is, have you heard of ARM before? So I'm just going to, hopefully everyone can see that poll. It seems to have disappeared from my screen, but I'm just going to go back in and have a little look, and hopefully you can see it, and I can start seeing some of the answers coming up. So I've got 4 people so far that have said yes. I'm hoping that's the ARM people that are on the call that have answered that they know about ARM, but you never know. If you want to go in and answer that question, I have answered yes myself, which is quite good because I'm going to start this presentation. But I will come and say right at the very beginning that even have worked here for quite a few years, even I don't know ARM 100%. But yeah, have you heard of ARM before? So as you come in, if you can just answer that, that would be amazing. And then I can share the figures across everybody that's on the call. So I've got 4 so far. So please feel free to go in and vote on that. And you've got your yes or your no. Don't worry, to give you a bit of sort of indication on this, different careers fairs, I get different results. I had one careers fair where not one person stood up in the room. So nobody in that whole room had ever heard of ARM before. So don't worry if you haven't. I'm not going to get offended that you haven't heard of us. That's what we're here to do. We're going to talk to you about what it's, who ARM are and what it's like to work here. Don't be shy, don't worry. I've still got my 4. Okay. As I said, anyone else that wants to answer? I know we've got sort of 16 of you, so I'm hoping to see 16 responses. It's slightly early. Feel free, grab your coffee at the same time as you're doing it. Okay. What I'll do is I'll leave that running in the background because it'd be really interesting to see at the end how many of you have heard of ARM. And as I said, if you haven't, that's no worries whatsoever. It wasn't a test or anything like that. We're just interested to see how many people have heard of ARM. The next part I normally do, and as I said, it's a bit of a shame because I can't see anybody. The next part that we normally do is how many of you own a mobile phone? Now, normally, and I'm expecting, even though I can't see you, if I was to tell you to stand up if you've used a or have a mobile phone, most of you would have stood. And there is a reason behind me asking that question, and it might seem going, of course I have a mobile phone. Who doesn't have a mobile phone? You know, my 92-year-old grandma has a mobile phone. So, you know, I know it seems like a bit of a strange question to ask, but there is a reason for that. Right. Bear with me a second while I try and find what I needed to find. Excellent. So hopefully in a second, you should be able to see my screen. So just to give you a bit of overview, I'm Katie Danes. So I am one of the early careers talent specialists here. So my job is sort of bringing in early talent into the organisation. And what we mean by early careers, I look at everything from your work experience students through to your apprentices, through to the internship, and then right through to our graduate piece. So very lucky, love my job, get to come around and talk to lots of people. Normally get to come around and travel quite a lot. As you can see from the beautiful wallpaper behind me, which I did not choose, we are working from home at the moment, so not doing any form of travel or anything like that. And I'm going to just do a very brief introduction into who ARM are and sort of talk you through some of our history before I hand over to the experts who are engineers, our fantastic engineers that do the majority of the work. And they'll be able to give you a little bit more information about the sort of work that you'd be doing at ARM and sort of a bit more of the technical side of things. We would then go into a Q&A, so please feel free to think of some questions. We have a really great relationship with Turin, and we've had some really great hires. So, you know, right at the end, feel free to ask us any questions that you want, and I'm sure One of my fantastic engineers will normally know the answer, which I normally don't when it comes to technical stuff. So this is a really brief history of ARM, and if I was to tell you the whole history, you would be switching off to listen to something else or watching Netflix, because there is so much history. But kind of the big parts that I always look at here is the bits that are in green. So you'll see a billion chips, 10 billion chips, 50 billion chips, and 100 billion chips. And what this is actually about is the amount of chips that we are shipping. So if you don't know ARM as a company, as I said, I'm going to go into that in a bit of detail, but you can see how shorter the gaps are becoming. So we were founded in 1990, and we were a break away from a company called Acorn Computers. And we had a very famous partner that came to us, Apple, Newton, which was called at the time, who wanted to create technology that could fit on a smaller chip. Now, if you go back to the 1980s, some probably weren't born at that stage. I go back to film, so I'm a bit of a film buff. And if you go back to kind of the films in those days and have a look at what mobile phone technology was like in those days, it's not what we have today. My dad got his first mobile phone in the 80s, and by mobile, he used to have a backpack to carry the battery around, because that's how big it was. So if you're a big sort of 1980s film fan, you'll have remembered the massive phones like that. And ARM broke away to start creating these tiny little sort of the intellectual property that could go onto tiny little chips to create kind of a smartphone. It wasn't that smart. So that was first launched in around the 1990s, and anyone that sort of saw the first phone, I could play Snake, which was a game which was hours of fun. I still sometimes play it now. I could make phone calls and I could send a text message, and that was about it. So ARM worked over the years to create the technology that enables us to have this device in our pockets that does everything for us. So I can go onto my mobile phone, I can turn my heating on or off, I can check if I've got any flat tires, it connects up to my Apple Watch. So everything is becoming connected, and that has been sort of ARM's mission of what they wanted to do. So by 2001, we were shipping around about 1 billion chips. By 2008, it was 10 billion. By 2014, it was 50 billion. By 2017, it was 100 billion. And as of today, we're around about the 160 billion. And there was a reason I asked you if you owned a mobile phone. And I will come to that in just a second. So most people know us from mobile phone technology. And that's why I asked you whether you own a mobile phone. I'm going to give you a really cool statistic at a moment of how many mobile phones ARM is actually in. However, for those that knew us, and I can't see the results at the moment, so I'm very excited to get back to that and have a look how many people had heard of us already. We are also in other technologies. So the one on the top right-hand corner, that's actually an inhaler. And this was something that was created to help within the healthcare industry. So we are touching healthcare products. You'll see the two beautiful cars. So we are very much into the automotive industry as well. You'll see the laptop. So we have been working with Amazon as one of sort of our clients, or our partners as we call them, on some of the technology that enables them to start creating their own laptops. You'll see GPS systems in there, you'll see some structural, and you'll see some shipping. So actually ARM is everywhere. So not just in that mobile technology. But as a statistic, and this is why I asked you if you have a mobile phone, I normally get people to stand up, 95% of the world's smartphones are based on ARM. So you will have used ARM probably to wake yourself up this morning if you use your alarm. If you have been, like I have been, Googling, checking out what's the weather and everything like that, you will have used ARM multiple times before you even logged in today to listen to us speak. We are the #1 shipped GPU in the world. 70% of the world's population uses ARM technology. So that's not just the UK, Europe, or anything, that's the world's population. So pretty much every single person that you know is using or has been using ARM. If you're a wearable person like I am myself, I don't actually have my watch on at the moment, but 90% of wearables are powered by an ARM-based system on chip. And 55% of consumer devices are powered by a form of ARM IP. So when I say ARM is everywhere, we are actually everywhere. We're probably at the moment sitting beside you. If my talk's boring you, don't worry, you're probably on your mobile phone at the moment. So you're probably even at this time playing around with some of our technology. Now, I mentioned automotive. So I'm going to refer back to my 1980s films. You can, as I said, see that I'm a bit of a film buff. And Back to the Future, they have flying cars. So for all the engineers, and you are the future of engineering, please get me to that flying car, because I do in my lifetime want to see one of these. But at the moment, we're working on more of the secure autonomous driving. So this is your driverless cars. So we work with our partners, and we've got some huge partners in the automotive space. And that's having a look at building a system on chip designed with functional safety for self-driving vehicles. At the moment, there are more than 25% of our systems on chips, and that's on an application based on ARM that goes into cars. And 85% of the IVI systems are ARM based as well. So it's another area that we are really, really prevalent in, and are building out for that autonomous driving. But as I said, you are the future of engineering, so please, some flying cars soon. So a bit about ARM today. So we are in over 20 countries. We have over 50 offices. We have over actually 7,000 people now, and that should be 160 billion chips. I cannot keep up with this slide at the rates that ARM grows. Every single year we've been growing around about 1,500 people, and chips have been about 20 to 30 billion. So I feel like I update this slide, and then ARM goes and ships a load more chips, brings in a load more people, or opens a new offices. So now I just do the over sign to make it a little bit easier. Now, the two offices that we're going to talk about today, and we've got representatives from both. So as you can tell from my very English accent, I am based in Cambridge, and this is where the company was founded. So back in the 1990s, as you saw when we first started, the original 12 that started our company worked in the barn on the top left-hand corner. Now, apparently, this is our urban legend of ARM. It had no heating and it had no air conditioning. So apparently working conditions there weren't the greatest. As you can see from the building with all the lights on, beautiful building there, that's our brand new building, which opened up in November. As I said, I normally do a lot of traveling over this season, so I sort of got back in January, and then we went into lockdown in March. So I've only been in it a few times, but it is an absolute state-of-the-art building. We have gym there, we have restaurants there. It's very much like a campus. And what a lot of the people that have just joined us as graduates have said is it's quite a nice transition, because you feel like you are on a university campus. It is absolutely state-of-the-art, as I said. So you have power stations. So if you drive an electric car, you can plug your car in for the day. But it's a really social hub as well. And as I said, very lucky to have it. It's brand new, only been used a couple of times. And then Sophia, so a lot more sunny. As you can tell, I'm not from France myself. I speak very little French. A little bit I've been trying to learn, but every time I go over to the Sophia office, my accent's apparently terrible. So yeah, I'm trying to perfect that bit at the moment. But Sophia office is exactly the same. It's a brand new building that opened up recently. And once again, state of the art, absolutely airy, beautiful. We've got restaurants and everything there. So you can see that the sun is definitely shining there a lot more in Cambridge. So yes, south of France, Cambridge, little bit of difference within the weather. Now, I always say, if you are playing around on your mobile phone, this is the most important part. So for me, if you have been doing something else for the rest of this talk, I'm absolutely fine with that. But listen to this part, and this is because I'm not just going to talk about I'm actually going to talk about sort of some hints for you in your journey that's coming in your career. So I will always say, what's the most important thing with any company that you go in? Technology, yep, you've got to be interested in the work that you do, but find a company that fits you. Do not fit yourself for a company. And by that, I mean, find a company where your strength is a strength. And I'll go into sort of the core beliefs to go around that. So ARM has a core belief, which is be your brilliant self. And I've worked in quite a few companies. I won't disclose my age, but I'm a lot older than you guys. I finished university back in 2002, so quite a while ago. So I've worked for quite a few companies since I left. And I've worked for companies where I love the product. So I think, wow, I love the product. It's something I'm really interested in. But actually the culture of that company has not fit who I am as a person. So when I say find a company that you fit, I had to change myself to progress at that company. And it makes it very uncomfortable because that's not your default setting. So coming into ARM and actually being able to be myself, and things that were seen as, say, weaknesses at other companies. I'm very into data. I'm often caught in a spreadsheet. Love it. My first question to most is why? Why are we doing that? What's the benefit? Where's the data? And whereas in other companies that hasn't been something that you have as a person to progress within what I do, at ARM, your brilliant self will be fit into that project. And this goes into the we, not I. So every single project that I've worked on, whether it been building out presentations, building out a recruitment strategy, I've worked with a global team. So I've worked with colleagues in America, India to build that out. Now, we've worked on projects that have failed many a time. There's no blame culture. There's no that person did this. It's all about working together to create the best possible solution. But within that team, you get to be your brilliant self. So whatever that might be, I'm always the data person. I'm always the one that I go off, find the data, find out the statistics, and come back. My colleague who absolutely detests data, can't stand it at all, but it's really creative, beautiful at writing, beautiful at putting stuff like this together, does that part of it. So we work together, but at the same time, we bring what we feel comfortable with and our strengths into that project. And then with our passion for progress is an absolute necessity. We're constantly changing technology. We're constantly pushing for the next big thing. So as I said, if it wasn't for us, 95% of mobiles is carrying our intellectual property, and that was due to passion for progress. So whatever other talks you want to listen to, whatever other companies, really find out who they are. And if I can give one bit of advice, make sure that if you are interviewing, and you're talking to them, find out what it is like to work there. Have a look on Glassdoor to see what it's actually like to work in that company, and think, does that suit you as a person? And as I said, if I can give one bit of advice today, it is find a company that suits you and fits you. Do not fit yourself around a company. Okay, so now it sounds like I'm coming around to the pitch part, but I'm not. This is just to give you a bit of an idea of what we're doing at ARM. So in early careers at the moment, we're hiring around about 500 graduates globally and around 400 interns. And both of those work on real projects from day zero. So we have an intern from 2 years ago whose name is on a patent that's going through at the moment, so for legal, his name is on that of something he had done within that project as an intern, meaning that you do contribute to the success of your team. It's a real good chance to develop yourself technically and professional skills. At the moment, it's all internal webinars, shall we say, but there is a lot of opportunity when we come out of this to attend sort of internal and external conferences. In some groups, you get a chance to rotate between product groups. There's continuous learning and development opportunities. I learn from my colleagues and people I work with every single day. I've learned more in the last 3 years than I have in the previous 15. So this is an idea of some of the intern roles at Arm, and we have got some of our wonderful engineers on in a minute who are going to talk you through a little bit about what it's like to work at Arm France. But we've got some opportunities across our engineering internships. So we've got some CPU, microarchitecture and design, CPU implementation, CPU microarchitecture and performance modeling engineer, CPU verification, a CPU branch predictions, microarchitecture, modeling and analysis. I'm really glad I had my coffee this morning. CPU prefetcher, algorithms and microarchitecture, and hardware design management. And these are our roles that are in our Sophia office live as we speak at the moment. And then roles in Cambridge. So we've got a lot of graduate roles that we're recruiting at the moment. We have graduate hardware engineers, and that's in our CPU group, our GPU group, our systems group, and our group that we call partner enablement, and that's kind of your design and verification. We've got graduate software engineer opportunities, and that's within computer architecture. Once again, CPU, GPU, open source software, DSG, which is our design solutions group, partner enablement again, machine learning and central technology. If you're doing something slightly different, we are looking for graduate technical authors. So that's the people that are writing out all the specifications. We have graduate project managers, graduate data analysts, and that's kind of your data science as well that goes in there, and roles within our IT security. This is being recorded, so you can have a watch back. You can just flick through the rest of it and just go to these bits. But we will have a Q&A session, so if you've got any questions afterwards, just let us know. And now I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to pass over, as I said, to our very wonderful engineers to talk a little bit more about their stories and what it's been like to work here. So first of all, I've got Valerio.
Yeah, hello everybody. As you can see, there has been quite a change from my early days. Anyway, before I was working in another company where I also interned, doing reverse engineering of microelectronic circuits. In particular, during my internship, I reverse engineered a NAND ROM. I graduated at PoliTO/Arecom in 2019, and right now I'm working the physical design group at ARM, in particular in the starter cell logic team, where I am designing and characterizing standard cell of advanced process nodes, such as TSMC 7 nanometers. And I think that's all.
Thank you, Valerio. What are you playing there? I'm really interested. I'm looking at that picture and wondering what song you're playing. Look very into it.
It is an electric guitar, 7 strings.
Wow, okay. Very impressive.
Hopefully also my playing skills are impressive, but not anymore, I believe. I'm afraid.
Oh, I don't believe you. Next time I'm up there, I'm going to make you play.
All right. There I have
Thanks,
it. There I
Valerio.
have it. You're welcome.
Okay, so next we've got Martina.
Hello, hope you can hear me well.
Yeah.
So my academic story is actually very similar to Valeria's one. We were in the same class in Politecnico, and then we both graduated from PoliTO and Eurecom in 2019. I joined ARM as an intern, and my internship was in the CPU design group. So it became a master thesis as well, and it was an investigation about the new algorithm for a branch prediction. What do I do at the moment? Right now, I'm working in the CPU verification team. So I take care of all that structure which wraps around the core of the CPU. To me, ARM was a lot of growth in terms of technical skills and knowledge, but I also enjoy, like you said, the philosophy of the company. So I am involved in Team ARM activities, and for example, I'm going in schools for the code club, so I teach children coding skills, and we also have a partnership with the First Robotics, so we go to high school to help them build robots to compete in international tournaments. And I think that's it about my life in ARM.
No, great. And mentioning Team On there, yep, definitely. There's a lot of other activities that people get involved in, as Martina's saying there, where we're actually going and speaking to the younger generation. And First are a fantastic company worldwide. I think they had a statistic that one of the classes where they had from First, I think 9 of them had ended up with VASA. So yeah, so it's a really great opportunity to do some stuff as well. And see, you're on the French Riviera there. I'm very jealous.
Yeah, that picture was actually taken in Nice. So if you want to see how the French Riviera looks like, it's more or less like that.
Excellent. Thank you, Martina. Okay, now we've got Francesco.
Yes, hi. So me as well, I graduated at PoliTO and Eurocom in 2018 in a double degree program as Martina and Valerio. Then I joined ARM for a 6-month internship. So I studied the L1 cache wave predictor in order to reduce power in the CPU. And then after the internship, I started working as a design engineer in the top level and debug team. So I'm responsible for performance monitor unit, activity monitor unit, and some other part of the debug. I'm also responsible for stitching and integrating several IPs in the same project. But I'm also a team member of the ARM football team. Indeed, there is a small championship in Sofia between all the companies. And then I'm also a member of the motorcycle group. Indeed, especially in the summer, we go for a ride in the region. So it's quite nice. And that's all for me. Yeah.
And the most important question that we always ask, which football team do you support?
Inter, yes.
But like, so you have to say now, you're like, I have to say this. And I like when I do these talks and people say football and not soccer.
Yeah.
I do quite love those. Excellent. Thank you very much, Francesco.
Thank you.
Okay, so we've got Matteo.
Hello everyone. I hope you can hear me. So yeah, I'm Matteo. So I'm probably one of the most aged graduates here in the school. So I graduated in PoliTO in 2011, end of in November, and I joined ARM GPU in Cambridge in 2012 as a graduate engineer and doing the first rotation in the top level team, basically verifying the GPU as a whole. And across all these past 8 years, I basically moved role and blocks where I grew up my expertise in verification. So from top level, I moved to more smaller blocks, and so grow the expertise in different area until basically I joined a team, and then I'm actually the team lead of the verification team lead of this block, this team, and also like manager of around 5 people. But actually, from a technical point of view, I'm basically managing more than 10 people. So yeah, basically I put my hands in whole Mali GPU since 2012. So you can find something verified by me since Mali 760 until the latest one, the has been released this year, and working now in the future project. As you can see, also team member of the GPU social committee, who try to organize something social across the GPU hardware and software team. Now these days quite tricky to do it, but before now try to engage and try to create some events to socialize outside of work. And as you can see from the picture, one of the most serious ones, so I also participate in a bunch of events on behalf of ARM. Most notably is the Chariots of Fire. It's a famous relay run in Cambridge. So a team of 6 need to run across the colleges. And as you can see, we won the cups twice, but not because we were the fastest, but because we were the funniest one. That's it. The third time we joined, actually we didn't win, but because another team of ARM was more clever and funnier than us. That's it.
The person behind you looks like he's put in a lot more effort. I have to just add there. Looks a bit more tired, but I'm loving it.
It was fine. It was okay. I mean, 3 kilometers are not that much, but yeah, of course, with just like a beer is a bit warm inside, but that's okay.
Love it. And this looks like a sunny day, which I'm quite impressed with.
Yeah. Usually it's in September, so it's in early September, so it's a good period in Cambridge in terms of weather.
There we go. So excellent. Thank you very much, Matteo. And then we have got Damian.
Hey guys, how are you doing? I hope you're doing well. So I'm Damian, and as Francesco, I studied with Francesco at PoliTecnico. Then our roads diverged a bit. I went to EPFL for a stage, an internship, and we met again each other in ARM. I just joined ARM after my graduation directly in October 17, so 3 years ago, and I joined it as a CPU designer. So I've been working on reorder buffer. It's been like 3 years I'm working on that. It's really interesting. I mean, all the nightmares that you have, guys, on exceptions, flashes, all those stuff. Well, if you join ARM, you will be still experiencing them. No, just joking. I mean, more or less. That's really a challenging job. You see in your workday everything you study in your Zamboni or I don't know Rock courses. And if you like those kind of stuff, you can really enjoy them. About my brilliant self, why Nice? Because I do like, for example, freediving, and Nice it's really perfect place for that. You have sea, you can enjoy summer. Yeah, that's perfect.
Sorry, that's my dog just picking up a toy. Let me just go and get that quickly. Sorry, Damian. He was really interested in the exceptions, or I don't know whether my dog's done exceptions before, and he was agreeing with you.
Maybe he was scared about
that. He heard the word exceptions and picked up a squeaky toy because he'd had nightmares as well. Sorry about that, guys.
So that's all for me.
Excellent. Thank you very, very much. And then we have got John.
Hello from me too. I graduated in Athens in 2017, although that's a bit misleading because I'm not just 25, as Matteo said. So yeah, and joined ARM 1 year roughly after that. I joined in April 2018, so 2.5 years ago. As Katie said, I had the chance to do rotations between positions because originally I started in the Trusted Firmware A team, which is part of the open source software group in ARM. So the Trusted Firmware is the reference firmware for Cortex-A cores. So in free language, let's say the BIOS of Cortex-A cores. So it's the thing that starts the machine that is based on ARM, the first piece of software that runs and sets up everything. But while I was in that team, I got the opportunity to rotate in the CPU group. So I did a rotation in the CPU performance modeling team. And actually, and this fits with another thing Katie said, I was given the chance to stay in the performance modeling team in the end because I thought it fits me better. It was closer to my interests, and I felt that I had better space for myself there as both as a fit and as my interests. So I decided to stay, and it was made possible by ARM. So again, you can be yourself, and you can find the place that you can be 100% productive and excited about what you do. And I'm still in that team. The duty of the performance modeling team is to simulate upcoming processor designs before they are actually designed or in parallel with the design. The reason for that, I guess it's easy to understand. It's much easier to simulate something before you design it rather than design it and test it and then decide to change the design. So our duty is to see if the design gives us the performance numbers we want before doing the design. And this is why we are roughly 2 to 5 years ahead of the market. And for me, at least, the most exciting part of my job is that we work on products that others that will take other companies that will design a smartphone, for example, in 3-4 years from now, they will say that they use cutting edge technology like 3-4 years after we designed that. So that's quite an exciting thing. And sometimes, depending on the product, sometimes we are even ahead of the design team. So like we start working and simulating something before the design team actually starts the design. And inside ARM, there are multiple modeling teams. There are architectural models. So these these models are faster, and you just get an accurate picture of what will happen after each instruction is executed. But this doesn't give you accurate performance measurements. And the thing that I am doing in our team is micro-architectural model. So the model is able to count literally cycles of execution. So it's much slower, but it's used for other purposes. And there are multiple modeling teams inside ARM. So I'm happy to provide more information on that. And that's more or less me, I guess. And final thing, as you can see, I'm wearing my ARM merchandise, my hoodie from the graduate conference in 2018. Unfortunately, with the current COVID situation, everything has become virtual, but I really wish and hope that any new graduates that join the company the graduates that will join now and during the next months will have the chance in 2021, hopefully to have this amazing experience in person. And hopefully we will be able to make the graduate conference in some physical, real space again.
And is this, have you set this up at your house? Because I don't think that's the office.
No. That's a picture from our office. It was one day that for some reason, I do not remember why, I went to the office like 6:30 in the morning. I was alone, so it was a perfect time for a picture.
Nice. I thought that was your house for some reason. It looks quite homely. So excellent.
No, it's the Eastbrook office.
No worries. Perfect. Okay. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop sharing now, and we'll open up for the Q&A. So bear with me just a second while I stop sharing that and come back over so I can see again. And I do actually have my ARM t-shirt on as well. So you end up with the most amount of ARM merchandise. So this is one from our our people team conference that we went on last year. So yeah, you end up, I often look around my house and my dad will walk in with an arm hoodie. So yeah, it's kind of, you end up with a lot of merchandise, as John said there.
A lot of arm mugs as well.
Yeah, arm pencils, arm everything. Excellent. Okay, so thanks all the guys for sort of doing sort of talking about that, but we'll open up for questions. So if you want to either put it on the chat, however you want to do it, or if you want to sort of come on and speak to us, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have. As I said, don't be shy, ask us whatever you want. We're happy to sort of tell you a little bit more information or to give you any questions that you might want answered. So I'm going to have a little look and see if there's anything coming up on the chat at the moment. Or maybe we did such a great conversation and such a great talk that we just told you everything you needed to know. Lisa, no worries. As I said, not everybody's heard about ARM. I will be honest that I'd never heard of ARM before I joined ARM. And I live near Cambridge, but I'd never heard. And actually, when I started reading the statistics of how much I'd used ARM without knowing about it absolutely it astounded me. So don't worry that you haven't heard about us. As I said, we're kind of the #1 chip GPU and 95% of mobiles, and as I said, 70% of the global population is using some part of ARM. But we like to keep it a little bit quiet. So does anyone have any questions? As I said, please don't feel shy. If you'd like to speak to someone specifically, we do have the breakout room, so I'm happy to sort of break apart if you've got someone there. Okay, so I've got a question. Are there any chances to join ARM as materials engineers? And is it possible to work on a thesis with you? So anybody want to take that from the ARM team?
So possibly I'm the closest one to materials around the participants. So just to make sure about your question, what do you're attending a materials engineering curriculum? Anyway, it is possible to work on a thesis, of course. There are many internships proposed that maybe we are sharing right now and among the medias. Katie confirm or disconfirm this. But materials-wise, the only thing we do in the physical design group is we design and characterize logic cells or memory. So it's really something specific to microelectronics, and we don't really go deep into the technology. We get in touch with the foundries, which give us foundry rules, and then we apply them to design and characterize the components that in the end go in microprocessors. Let me know if I answered your question.
And something we could maybe add here before we go to the next one is that ARM is a fabless company. We do not really manufacture the chips. We give the designs to our partners, which means we have no factory. Our product is our design, so it's the responsibility of our partners to actually print the chips and make the dies.
Thank you for the specification, John. In fact, what ARM does, we also provide the customers with standard cell libraries and memory compilers that the customers can use to design their own, to actually use optimized cells for their needs or optimized memories for their needs. And then they can go to these fabs and ask them to print them, because all of these standard cells have been and memories have been created and designed using their foundry rules. So the foundries will be able to actually putting them. This is something a bit on the side with respect to ARM's main business scope, but ARM does also that.
Perfect. I'm just going to go and wrestle a toy while I answer this at the same time, so sorry about this. We've got a question. Is it possible to apply without previous work experience? If someone can just take that while I just go and wrestle.
See you later.
Yeah, I can go ahead. So absolutely, yes. I think the story of all of us are more or less the same. So we did apply without any previous work experience. We just graduated from PoliTO, and we went to the website and applied for a position in ARM as a graduate engineer. And here we are. So absolutely, yes. I mean, you can apply, and I suggest you to apply without any work experience. I mean, it's the role of the graduate actually you have a technical knowledge from a uni, but it's when you're a graduate, you actually invest a lot on developing your skill, try to figure out what's fit best for you, what you like to do the most through the graduate rotation program. And basically then you grow up from there.
We've got a question which is, have you any open positions in Monaco or Germany? Sadly not. As I said, we have roles within our Sofia. We also have roles in obviously Cambridge. We have roles in Denmark, Sweden and Norway. That's all within there. So sadly not within Germany at this time. Okay, I have another question which is, for the internships, will there be a tutor to guide us at first? How's the learning process work if it is actually a thing? So does anyone sort of feel comfortable with answering that? That's done a bit of an internship here.
If you want, I can take that one.
Okay, thank you, Martina.
So, yes, there is a tutor, so there is a mentor, and sometimes also more than one. It depends on who proposed the internship topic within ARM. So there will be someone you always refer to if you have questions, but you will work in a team. So actually, there will be many people to ask, and also the first, let's say, month or two are supposed to be your ramp up, so in which you learn how to use the tools, you get confident both with the tools, with the architecture if you need, and so on. So really, yes, it's taken into account that you need to learn.
Perfect. So I've got a question with Bachelor in Computer Engineering. Is there any open possibility or position to join ARM? So we're talking about Bachelor in Computer Engineering.
I think the other guys are more apt to answer to this question, because in the physical design group, I mean, you need to have knowledge of microelectronics and in general a bit of analog too. But yeah, of course, in the other groups, which actually, if you will, if the main scope of ARM, yeah, we could totally use computer engineers. But if anybody of you guys, anybody else would like to take this one.
Or we can have silence. So yeah, so I can say in Cambridge, within computer engineering for sure. Yeah, that is something that's very much in line with the roles that we recruit. A lot of them we look for the potential of somebody, so it's not necessarily that you have to have the exact specifications in there. If you're looking software, we'd normally say sort of either C or Python, so some sort of coding knowledge. And if you're looking hardware, and once again, this is dependent on the job, some sort of knowledge of sort of FPGAs or VHDL or ASIC or any of those. But once again, we do look for potential. So if you having a read of a job description and you don't feel like you tick everything, please still apply. Because as I said, we are always looking for potential in people, and we have got learning, as Martina was just saying, so you know we can teach you some of the qualifications that maybe you don't have. Okay, so Damian, this is kind of directed at yourself. So I have a question regarding your hardware engineering jobs, in particular RTL design. Damian's role, if we recall correctly, how much of an RTL designer in ARM is allocated to actual RTL design rather than synthesis? Try and say that again, synthesis.
Hi, Federico. So yes, that's a good question, actually, a good point. So as a RTL designer, we do, I would say that we do like 50% of RTL design, 30% of, or maybe 40% of debugging, and 10% is iteration between debugging and so bug fixes and implementations trials. But in Sofia, we have 3 teams that work together, but also separately. And there are designers, RTL designers, that work on the design, try to implement specifications in RTL, so system Verilog. Then there is the verification team that works, that provides designer the test benches in order to stress the design. And we finally have also the synthesis, the implementation team that works on everything is PPA, so performance, power, and the area. They try to meet our design with the performance, with power and the area requirements. So I would say that most of my and also Francesco does this kind of a job. Most of the time is on RTL, system Verilog, debugging, and only, let's say, only a small part is really what you call synthesis. We just iterate. We iterate on our design in order to meet requirements. So if we need to go to 10 gigahertz, just to say a number, we need to iterate in order to our critical path to meet this requirement.
Excellent,
Did I
thank
answer
you.
to you?
Yeah, that was good. So the next question was, how does the recruiting work? Are there many steps or just a single interview? Now, I'll break this down a little bit because it does depend on which role that you're applying for. So if you're applying for an internship within Sofia, it's normally a 1-stage process. They normally just have a telephone interview with you. However, if you're applying for a graduate role, it's normally a 2-stage, which would be your telephone interview, and then you would have a virtual face-to-face. So normally this is be a face-to-face and come into the office, but at the moment it's a virtual face-to-face. It's very similar in Cambridge. However, we use a tool that we call HireView, which is a kind of on-demand video interviewing platform. So this is where you get asked questions very similar to a telephone interview, and you record your answers. And then we do have our virtual face-to-face. So it's a very quick process. It's always 2 stages, as I said, unless it's an internship in France, which is slightly shorter. But we try and keep it as short and as quick as possible for you. So it's normally, as I said, a really quick turnaround. Okay, so then I've got the question, is there a possibility to do a PhD in ARM? So we do have a research team based in Cambridge, and these are the guys that are working on kind of your further analytics, so looking at sort of 2027 going forwards and then feed into our engineers. So you are able to do a PhD in association with research. You can, that would be then completing it whilst you're doing your studies at the same time. At the moment, they are the only group that will let you do your PhD at the same time, but obviously all of our teams do take PhD candidates. So we will take PhD candidates into any single one of the teams that we have anywhere across the globe. I don't know if anyone wanted to add something to either of those. No? Okay, no worries. Okay, so I've got a question from Lisa. I have a double degree in industrial production engineering and business. Would you be interested in it in France? This is to any of our France team.
And Lisa, you would be interested in intern or graduate positions? Because we need to make differences between these positions. Because I think in intern we only have a pure technical positions, and for the just graduated. Okay, so for the graduate role we have more positions. So I would recommend you to review our career website, because we recently opened all of our graduate positions, and actually most of the roles are technical positions. But if you are interested a little bit on the software side as well, then we would have something for you. But with the business at this moment, we don't have anything. I don't know in the Cambridge if we have in business related positions.
Yep, so we have our project manager positions, which are a bit more business focused. So working on that. We also have a couple of our client team. And our client team and our partner enablement group are more involved in that kind of partner relations. So there's a little bit of both. And as I said, the technical authors as well. So this is where you'll be talking to the business and then writing out the requirements for the sort of the bits that we're doing. So there is some more business focused positions in Cambridge. But so that's kind of your project managers, your technical authors, and our more sort of not marketing, but it's where you would go and talk about the product. So you would stand up in front of other partners or an event and talk about the products that we've currently got in line and the ones that we're currently doing at the moment. And Lisa's saying she just graduated. Okay, so I've got a question from David. Is it possible for a graduating undergrad to join a curricular internship in ARM who's doing a bachelor in computer engineering? So in Cambridge at the moment, we are recruiting, as I said, for our graduate positions. Now, these graduates can start from November, so next month, up till September 2021. So we would say if you've graduated already or you're graduating in 2021, you would actually be on a graduate position rather than an intern position. So we normally say our interns, and this is in Cambridge, and we can talk through France because it's slightly different, and just because the educational system's slightly different. Our internships in Cambridge are normally for people that will be graduating in 2022. So or 2023, so people that are in sort of first or second year that come in and do this summer internship position. It's slightly different in France, where they would do almost a master thesis. They would join from February up till September, go back and do their graduation piece, and then hopefully join the team as a graduate in October. Hopefully that answers your question, but if anyone wants to add anything from ARM team, please feel free to as well.
Katie, I have the impression though that whether the internship is part of the degree is up to the person. For ARM doesn't make that much of a difference. Is that right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
right.
And by that I mean to do an internship with ARM, you do not. It doesn't have to be a part of your degree. You can do it on your own initiative. So that's up to you.
But I would like to add something. If you need the curricular internship for your master thesis, for example, the thesis from Politecnico in France, for example, I'm speaking about France because I know this environment, but we are familiar with people coming from Politecnico who needs a certain type of master thesis, the type which is required in Politecnico. So definitely you can join as an intern, and the internship can be turned into the final master thesis.
Thank you, guys. Okay, is there any other questions? See if there's anything else coming through. As I said, please don't feel shy. We're happy to answer anything that you might want to.
We don't bite.
No, we're all very nice people, I promise. Okay, so what are the preferred platforms to apply? So we have all of our roles listed on, I think, the career site here. I'm looking at Patricia because she's been doing all the hard work for this. So we do have them there that will take you through to our platform to apply. We should have all our roles also on LinkedIn, so you can apply through there. And we also use Grad Cracker, which is quite a UK specific graduate platform, so you can apply on there. I'll give you the ARM career site as well, but as I said, all the roles are listed on the career one, but I'll just put down here quickly the career site for you, so you can go through there to apply as well. I would just say also, when you're applying on your CV, just remember to sort of flesh it out a little bit. So talk about any projects that you've worked on, what you're doing at university, just flesh that out a little bit so it's got a bit more content. So the guys really, really understand sort of the projects that you've worked on, because that's the bit that they will be looking for. So they will have a look and sort of say, oh, you've done this course, but actually, what have you done on that course? If you're sort of mentioning programming, if you've been doing some programming, or that you've worked with FPGA, actually flesh that out, what that actually meant. What was the project that you worked on and how did you use it in that project? So I'd always give that a little bit of advice as well.
And if they have any doubts, they can contact us via email or LinkedIn. So we are always here.
Yes, we're always happy to help. So is there any other questions? As I said, all our jobs are up online. This video will be going live after this. And just as a handy hint, if you want to email anyone, it's just our first name dot our last name @arm.com. So you can either message us, and I'll put mine on here. You can either message us by email, or you can give us a message on LinkedIn otherwise. Any further questions? Give it another few minutes just in case anyone has got anything they'd like to ask.
If you guys have really curiosities or something like that, we can create private rooms to speak. Don't hesitate.
Yeah, if you want to ask anything about day-to-day life, how it's working every day, how is team synergies, and just let us know.
No free time. Sorry. No, actually.
Oh, sorry. Carry on.
Can I? No, actually, ARM is really, let's say, startup mindset. Let's say company. You know, we don't really have starting working hours, or we don't need to say, okay, we are there at 8 a.m. and we finish at 17 or something like that. We usually, for what concerns ARM friends, we usually are at the office at 9 more or less, 2 hours of lunch break, and where we used to play, I don't know, PlayStation, for example, and then come back to work till it depends, 6 p.m., 5 p.m. depends what time you start. But we are really free from this point of view. Yes. This is my personal experience.
And also, Antonio, I can add a few things here. So as the guys mentioned, we have a lot of groups here at ARM France, and you can join like a volleyball team, a football team. We have bootcamp team, and we are doing a lot of sport activities together, even in the lunch break. So we are more like friends together. As Damien also mentioned, really like a startup culture. We have a lunch together, we have sports together, we are going out together. So we are spending a lot of free time as a team. And even with this new building, what Katie presented to you, we will have more opportunities there to spend more time, coffee breaks, gym time together. So definitely, if you are really a social person, then that would be a fantastic team to join.
And to carry on this side in the Sofia building, it has also been added a gym, and there are always events organized in the cafeteria or someplace else where there's somebody presenting. There's a lot of activities going on. So free time wise, yeah, ARM has the tendency to involve all its employees outside just the pure technical working activities. There's a lot going on, and I think the same goes in Cambridge.
Yeah, I can add something more about Cambridge office. So in the GPU area, we actually have a football table, calcio balilla, and also VR kit, PlayStation. So we, as a part of social committee, we try to build something at a breakout area where actually people can enjoy it. And since we moved to the new building, actually start to be quite busy. So actually we incentivate to take a break, because sitting on the computer all day is not even a healthy thing. So.
And we had the arcade machines too. Do we still have them?
We do. They're the old ones that are in one of, I can't remember which building they're in. ARM 5? They have got those. I have never played on them myself. And then they've got the new game, which is amazing, where you have to sort of push, I don't know what it's called, shuttle or shuffle or something like that, which, yeah, I've had quite a lot of fun on as well. Okay, so I've got another question from David, which is regarding training. How was it like to be in ARM at the start? I mean, as an electronic engineering bachelor degree graduate or graduate in general, what was it like to confront academic formation with actual work requirement? For any of our newer grads that have started in the last year or so, can you sort of take that one? So what was it like to start? What was it like at the start? You know, sort of coming in with work requirements and stuff like that.
So, Davide, I think that's what do you learn? What you learn during your courses, especially if you do electronic engineering, I don't know, system designs. For example, so all you do in your Zamboni courses, Rock or Masera, are all things that we apply every day, but actually every day. Even though you do more microelectronics courses, in that case, implementation guys do it in every moment of their day, and don't know. Probably also for what concerns C and C++ and more verification sites in that case too. Maybe Martina can say a bit more about that. But from an FTL design point of view, what Politecnico, the tools that Politecnico gives to you is really what you need, I would say. Then of course there are a lot of things to learn day by day, but as starting point, it's really good. It's really good.
Yes, I agree. Oh, sorry, Francesco, go on.
Sorry, just to add that at the beginning offer also some trainings, technical, but also soft skills trainings. So don't worry. At the beginning, you are apt to start to work, and there are trainings to do that, both technical like architectural training, computer engineer trainings, but also soft skill ones, so don't worry.
So for example, I'm an electronic engineer too. And I can say that the background Politecnico gives you, as Damian was saying, is excellent. As for my experience as a verification engineer, I do need some hardware background. I use the system Verilog and Verilog, but I also use C++ and Python, and I need some knowledge of object-oriented programming, which I didn't have before joining ARM at all. And it's something I completely learned while being in here. And in 1 year of working in ARM as a graduate engineer, I had the possibility to attend 3 trainings. So they really care about making you learn and ramp up. So also don't worry if you don't know something at the beginning, you will learn it in here.
Last thing I would
For
like
example,
to go ahead.
Go ahead, Valerio.
All right. One last thing I wanted to add is everybody's been there, right? I mean, even if people has started since a while, everybody remembers what first like when joining ARM. So they know that there are many things that you need to ramp up. There are many things that are specific to ARM, to the way ARM is organized. There might be scripting languages or anything which is related to the way production is organized that are specific to this company. So this is things that everybody assumes that you're not proficient with, and everybody's really helpful. Like I never had any instance in which somebody was not eager to point you out to the right solution or to the documentation or to assist you. So yeah, it's challenging. At some point, it might become challenging, but you're never alone.
Okay. All the available positions are either in Cambridge or France, right? So as I said, we do have opportunities also listed on our website for the US. So we have got opportunities there, but you would need the right to work within the US. We do also have roles that are in Lund, which is in Sweden, and Trondheim within Norway. But the majority of our roles at the moment are Sofia and Cambridge. When we say Cambridge, though, there are obviously opportunities also in Manchester and Sheffield as well. So we have a couple of different hubs in the UK. But yeah, as I said, we do also have US and India. But for those two, you would need the right to work within those countries because unfortunately they can't offer sponsorship. Thanks, Nicola.
Something that I would like to add, especially given the current situation with COVID and working remotely, we have, during the last like 9-10 months or so, we in our team at least, we have had 3-4 interns plus new graduates that started, and plus experienced people that started, and everyone takes the extra step to help in the onboarding of new people, especially because we are now all working from home, and it is something like a barrier if you have to ramp up people from behind the screen. But as Valerio and Martina explained already, it might be challenging, but it's never a barrier for us to have new members, and even in the current situation. So that wouldn't be a problem. And we everyone in the teams, in every team, I think we do the extra mile to make sure that new members feel at home, literally and metaphorically.
Excellent. Any other questions at all? As you can see, we're all adapting to working from home. I now have a dog on my lap. But as I said, please feel free to reach out to us with anything else that you want to know. Massive thank you to all of you guys for joining, and massive thanks to all the guys on the call for helping out and giving us a bit of information about their journey. You know that they've been in your shoes, some pretty recently as well, so understand what you're going through and can answer any questions. So it's been really helpful. So thank you guys for supporting Patricia and myself on this. We could not do it without you. But as I said, we've got another few minutes, so anything further that you want to add, please just add now. I'll give it kind of another minute, but if we don't see anything else, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you all. Hopefully you found it informative. Hopefully you've learned a little bit more about ARM or about what it's like to work here. Really excited. Hope to see your applications come through. But I've put my details in there. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn or any of the other platforms or any of the guys on here. Okay.
And don't forget that we are doing a lot of software too. Primarily, we are a hardware company, which means that the roles like as all of the guys that ask questions said, like RTL, physical design, etc., etc. But do keep in mind that we have a lot of software positions too, like the firmware that ARM systems run. The support in the Linux kernel for ARM. We have Windows on ARM upcoming, so we do things there too. The simulators and all the internal modeling stuff, which are custom in-house developed software and simulators. So we still have a lot of roles which are let's say pure software.
Yeah, and working in GPU software is fundamental and is part of our delivery to customer. Otherwise, a GPU without software DDK doesn't mean it's useless. So
yeah, knowledge of understanding of computer architecture always helps, but still software roles are many.
Fantastic. Well, as I said, thank you everybody. Thank you for everyone for attending. And once again, if you've got any further questions or anything you wanted to ask the team, just feel free to drop us, any one of us, a line.